I think it's just something different. I mean, there's a lot of truckers around, but they're mostly doing highway and stuff, and this ice road trucking is just something that's not on anybody's radar.
Welcome back to Hollywood Bulletin. Today we're diving into one of the most thrilling and emotional journeys ever seen on reality television, the story of Lisa Kelly from Ice Road Truckers, a woman who not only battled against nature's harshest environments, but also stood tall against some of the toughest rivalries the trucking world had to offer. And trust me, you'll want to stick with me until the very end because this story has everything from brutal feuds and corporate wars to respect, resilience, and even heartbreaking tragedy. Ice Road Truckers was never just another TV show. While most truckers drive highways, this was something no one had ever seen before. A world where the road wasn't paved, it was frozen water, a river of ice where one crack could mean the end. For seasons, we watched drivers with nerves of steel push through storms, frozen lakes, and crumbling cliffs. But what the cameras didn't always show was the pressure behind the scenes, the rivalries, the clashes, and the battles for respect that shaped the legends of the road. And at the center of it all stood Lisa Kelly, the fearless Alaskan trucker who went from an outsider to one of the most iconic figures in the show's history. One of her earliest and fiercest rivalries was with Hugh Roland, better known as the Polar Bear, a veteran who ruled the ice roads long before Lisa showed up. Hugh was respected but also intimidating. And when Lisa first arrived, young, determined, and one of the only women in the field, the tension was immediate. It was less about experience and more about respect. Hugh questioned her place, but Lisa wasn't one to back down. She stood her ground, and their clash only grew fiercer when they were forced to drive Bolivia's infamous death road together. Miles of crumbling cliffs in danger at every turn. The rivalry became a mix of personal and professional, and by the time the show returned to Canada, Lisa and Hugh weren't just rivals on the road. They were direct competitors with different companies battling for loads, money, and pride. Their feud became legendary, but through it all, Lisa proved she belonged. Her precision, her courage, and her defiance against Hugh's dismissive attitude solidified her as a fighter, someone who wasn't just driving the ice, but conquering it. But Hugh wasn't the only one Lisa clashed with. Rick Yem, another bold trucker, carried his own storm of conflict, especially when the show moved to India and the Himalayas, where the roads were as deadly as they were unpredictable. With 1,000-foot drops, chaotic traffic, and no guardrails, the pressure was intense, and tensions between Lisa and Rick grew quickly. Rick accused Lisa of being pampered by production, even claiming she didn't drive most of the time. But the footage told another story. When roads got deadly, Lisa didn't back down. In fact, she was the only North American trucker to complete every mission of the season, including hauling jet fuel up the terrifying Rotang Pass when Rick himself turned back, proving once and for all who had the grit to face the worst. Rick's accusations were brutal and public, but Lisa's courage spoke louder than any words, and fans knew where the truth really was. Another name tied to Lisa's journey was Dave Redmond, an Alabama trucker cast as the villain of the show. Fired on camera after clashing with his trainer and refusing to be a team player, Dave always claimed his image was manufactured, that producers scripted him to look bad while lifting Lisa as the hero. In truth, Lisa and Dave never had a direct personal feud, but because he was positioned as the show's antagonist, his failures and outbursts only made her professionalism shine brighter. And while Dave aligned himself with Rick Yem, Lisa stayed focused on the road, letting her skill and composure speak for her. Then came G.W. Bowles, a seasoned Texan trucker who joined Lisa on the deadly Bolivian roads. Their partnership started tense. Lisa wasn't ready to trust him with the wheel because she knew one mistake meant disaster. GW spent weeks in the passenger seat learning and spotting hazards, until finally, Lisa gave him a chance. The gamble was terrifying. At one point, he nearly slid over the edge, but he pulled through, slowly earning her trust, and what began as a cautious rivalry evolved into one of the most respectful partnerships on the show, proving that trust, once earned, could turn even the toughest beginnings into teamwork. But perhaps the most powerful and heartbreaking story was with Daryl Ward, the Montana legend, a charismatic risk-taker and Lisa's biggest rival for loads and bragging rights. For years, they competed fiercely, but then came a twist no one saw coming. Daryl quit his old job and started his own company, and instead of hiring a friend, he turned to Lisa, offering not just a job, but part ownership of his company. It was the ultimate show of respect, rivals turned partners. Their dynamic was electric. They faced Alberta's death road together, built their business load by load, and for 2 seasons, their partnership became one of the most exciting storylines on Ice Road Truckers. But tragedy struck in 2016, just after season 10, when Daryl Ward was killed in a plane crash. The loss devastated Lisa, who carried on their company to honor his legacy and even mentored his son Reno, guiding him the way Daryl once guided her. What began as fierce competition had transformed into one of the deepest professional bonds of Lisa's life. Through these rivalries and partnerships, Lisa carved her place in trucking history. She wasn't just a woman in a male-dominated world. She was a fighter, a symbol of resilience who showed that respect is earned mile by mile. She faced harsh words, scripted villains, crushing losses, and deadly roads, and yet she kept moving forward. Her story wasn't just about hauling loads across frozen rivers. It was about proving to the world that determination has no gender, and strength is found in standing tall, even when the odds are stacked against you. And though she eventually stepped away from the spotlight in 2017 to embrace a quieter life in Alaska with her husband and animals, the image of Lisa Kelly gripping the wheel, wind in her hair, eyes locked on the horizon, will forever remain a symbol of courage, grit, and grace. If you are inspired by this journey, make sure you subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin and press the bell icon so you never miss these powerful stories of resilience and legacy.